What if I told you that Donald Trump just made a decision that could change Africa forever? A decision so shocking that it's reshaping the balance of power in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and leaving global superpowers scrambling to react. This isn't just about politics, it's about economic warfare, resource control, and a long-term strategy that no one saw coming. For decades, Africa has been a battleground for foreign interests, with its vast mineral wealth making it one of the most contested regions in the world. And at the heart of it all, Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo, often called the richest poor country in the world, has been at the center of this global struggle for power. With over $24 trillion in untapped mineral wealth, it is both a blessing and a curse for the people who live there. But in early 2025, a series of unexpected events turned the region into the focal point of an international power play unlike anything seen before. A crisis erupted, one that threatened to destabilize an entire continent, spark a proxy war between global superpowers, and completely shift the geopolitical landscape in Africa. In today's video, we're diving deep into why Trump just shocked everyone in Congo and uncovering the hidden truth behind this unexpected move. What does this mean for the future of Congo? How does it tie into China's dominance in Africa? And why could this decision rewrite America's entire African strategy? Stick around because you won't believe what we've uncovered. This is more than just a political maneuver. It's a shift in global power dynamics that could define the future of Africa for decades to come. January 2025, Eastern Congo. The air was thick with fear. A storm was brewing, not one of nature, but of war. One that would shake the very foundations of Africa's power dynamics. For years, the M23 rebels had been a looming threat, launching attacks, disappearing into the forests, and resurfacing stronger. But no one saw this coming, a lightning-fast assault that would bring an entire government to its knees. The first signs of trouble emerged in the early hours of January 12th. Reports flooded in from rural villages on the outskirts of Goma. M23 fighters were on the move. Unlike their previous scattered attacks, this was different. Organized, relentless, and well-funded, they struck with military precision, seizing roads and key outposts at an alarming speed. By the time the Congolese army understood what was happening, it was already too late. The rebels had cut off major supply routes, isolating Goma from reinforcements. Panic spread like wildfire among government forces. Many abandoned their posts, fearing for their lives. Others attempted to fight back, but they were quickly overpowered. Then came the moment that would shock the world: the fall of Goma. A city of 2 million people, one of Congo's most vital economic hubs, had fallen without a prolonged battle. The speed of the takeover left military analysts baffled. How had a ragtag rebel group managed to overrun a city of such strategic importance? But the biggest shock was yet to come. In a chilling declaration broadcasted across the region, an M23 commander stepped forward and made an earth-shattering announcement. "We will march to Kinshasa." The world froze. This was more than just a rebellion. This was a declaration of war. A direct challenge to Congo's government. A signal that the rebels weren't just looking to control a city, they were planning to take the entire country. If Kinshasa fell, it would mean a complete regime change. It would redraw the map of Africa's power structure. And for global superpowers watching from the shadows, it would be a golden opportunity to reshape the future of the continent. The fall of Goma wasn't just a military defeat. It was the opening move in a larger, more dangerous game. One that involved foreign governments, secret deals, and trillions of dollars in resources. As Congo's leaders scrambled to regain control, the world's most powerful nations began quietly picking sides. And in Washington, one man faced a decision that could change the course of history. Would Trump follow the old playbook, arming rebels to secure America's interests? Or would he take an unthinkable risk, siding with a government that had deep ties to China? The answer would leave everyone stunned. To truly understand why the fall of Goma sent shockwaves across the world, we need to look deeper, not just at the rebels, not just at the government, but at the real prize that everyone is fighting for. This isn't just about war, it's about trillions of dollars in untapped mineral wealth. Resources so valuable that they could decide who dominates the 21st century. The Democratic Republic of Congo isn't just rich, it is the richest country in the world in terms of untapped resources. Buried beneath its soil lies over $24 trillion in minerals. But one mineral in particular stands out: cobalt. Cobalt is the lifeblood of modern technology. It powers the lithium-ion batteries in every smartphone, every electric vehicle, and every AI-driven supercomputer. Without Congo's cobalt, Companies like Apple, Tesla, and Samsung would struggle to manufacture their most important products. But it doesn't stop there. Cobalt is also critical for military defense systems, space technology, and renewable energy grids. The country that controls Congo's cobalt supply doesn't just control an industry, it controls the future of energy, transportation, and warfare. Now ask yourself, would the world's superpowers really stand by and let control over this wealth be decided by a local conflict? Absolutely not. For decades, China has quietly dominated Congo's economy, securing exclusive access to its minerals while the West focused on military interventions and regime changes. Through its Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, Beijing poured billions into infrastructure projects, not as goodwill, but to lock Congo into economic dependence. In exchange for dams, highways, and railways, China gained control of Congo's most valuable assets, its mineral rights. What seemed like a win-win deal at first soon became a one-sided arrangement. While China reaped trillions in mineral profits, Congo received low-quality infrastructure and minimal local benefits. By 2025, China controlled over 70% of Congo's cobalt mines and processed 80% of the global supply. Even Western tech giants like Apple and Tesla had to go through China to secure cobalt for their products. This wasn't just an economic advantage, it was a geopolitical weapon. If China cut off the supply, industries worldwide would grind to a halt. For Washington, this was unacceptable. The US couldn't afford to let China tighten its grip on Africa any further. But when the M23 rebels took Goma, a rare opportunity emerged, one that could shift the balance of power in America's favor. As Congo teetered on the edge of collapse, the situation in Washington became tense. Inside the White House Situation Room, Trump's top advisors laid out two very different options. The first option was the traditional American playbook: back the rebels, arm them with weapons, and help them take Kinshasa. If the M23 rebels overthrew the Congolese government, the US could install a pro-American leader, rewrite the mining contracts, and push China out. It was a plan that had been used countless times before, from Latin America to the Middle East and even Africa itself. Supporting rebels and overthrowing governments had worked in Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan, at least temporarily. But every time, it came at a massive cost. The second option was the unthinkable: support Congo's existing government, even though it had already aligned itself with China. Instead of forcing regime change, Trump could use economic strategy to weaken China's influence without fueling another African war. Most US presidents in the past would have taken the first option. America had a long history of arming rebel groups to advance its own interests. But Trump saw something that others missed. Supporting rebels doesn't always mean winning control. If the US backed M23, there was no guarantee that the rebels would actually side with America. What if they struck a deal with China instead? What if, after taking power, they sold Congo's resources to the highest bidder? America could end up spending billions only to watch another pro-China government take control. And then there was the bigger risk, another failed war. The US had already learned hard lessons in the Middle East. Supporting rebels had led to civil wars, failed states, and endless instability. If Congo descended into chaos, it wouldn't just be a problem for Africa, it could trigger a global economic crisis. So Trump made a decision that shocked everyone. He rejected the plan to back the rebels and instead chose to outmaneuver China with a move no one saw coming. Instead of fighting for control through war, he decided to win through trade, infrastructure, and economic power. His secret weapon? The Libido Corridor, a game-changing strategy that could shift the balance of power in Africa forever. While the world focused on Congo's military crisis, Trump was focused on undermining China's economic dominance, and the Libido Corridor was his key move. This massive railway project connecting Angola, Congo, and Zambia was designed to bypass China-controlled trade routes and give Western companies direct access to Congo's minerals. For decades, China dominated cobalt and copper exports by controlling East African ports and railways, forcing even US and European buyers to go through Beijing's supply chains. But the Libido Corridor changed everything. By creating a US-backed trade route to the Atlantic, Trump ensured Congo could export its resources freely, weakening China's grip on Africa's economy. Western companies now had a way to bypass Chinese control, while Rwanda's illegal smuggling operations suffered a major blow. This wasn't just about trade, it was a geopolitical masterstroke. For Congo, it meant greater control over its resources. For the US, it meant a long-term foothold in Africa. And for China, it was a direct challenge to its 20-year dominance in the region. But the real question remained: could this strategy truly outmaneuver China's deep-rooted influence? Or was this just the beginning of an even bigger power struggle? As Congo teetered on the brink of collapse, Trump was orchestrating a move that could reshape how global powers engage with Africa. His decision to back the Congolese government instead of the rebels wasn't just diplomacy, it was a strategic shift in America's foreign policy. For decades, Western nations had followed the same flawed playbook: fund rebels, topple governments, and seize resources, only to create instability and resentment. Time and again, this approach backfired, driving African nations toward China and Russia in search of more reliable partners. Trump saw the need for a new approach, one that prioritized economic influence over military intervention. The libido corridor was the key. By creating a US-backed trade route, Trump was offering Congo a real path to economic independence, something no Western leader had done before. If successful, this strategy could mark a turning point in US-Africa relations, shifting from exploitation to investment, from war to long-term partnerships. Trump's decision sent shockwaves far beyond Congo. Beijing, Moscow, and Brussels were all watching closely. China, after years of dominating Africa's economy, now faced its first real challenge. For the first time, African nations had an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative, no longer forced into high-interest loans and exploitative contracts. China wasn't pleased. Its state media condemned the US move, calling it economic sabotage, while Beijing rushed to counter Trump's strategy with new trade deals, military agreements, and competing infrastructure projects. Russia was also on high alert. Having expanded its influence in Africa through arms deals and mercenary groups, Moscow now saw the US as a renewed competitor for African alliances. Meanwhile, Europe faced a tough choice: continue backing Rwanda's illicit mineral trade, or shift toward the US-backed libido corridor. What began as a regional conflict in Congo had quickly escalated into an all-out economic war between global superpowers. The biggest question remained: would Trump's strategy actually work? Could investing in Congo's infrastructure and backing its government succeed where decades of Western interventions had failed? On one hand, the libido corridor could be a game changer, giving Congo control over its own resources instead of losing them to foreign exploitation and smuggling. If successful, this move could lead to economic growth, job creation, and long-term stability. But challenges remain. China won't give up its dominance easily. Rwanda's illegal mineral trade won't stop overnight, and European markets are deeply tied to existing supply chains. There's also political skepticism. Many African leaders have seen American promises fall apart before. Would Trump's strategy truly offer a better alternative? One thing is certain: this shift won't happen overnight. China's influence has been growing for decades, and reversing it will take years of sustained investment and strategy. But Trump's move signals a turning point, one that prioritizes economic power over military intervention, potentially reshaping America's role in Africa for years to come. The old African proverb says, "When two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers." For decades, Congo has been that grass, trampled under the weight of foreign greed, war, and political corruption. The world's superpowers have fought over its resources, and the Congolese people have paid the price. But now, for the first time in modern history, there's a chance for something different. If Congo can leverage this moment, if it can build a strong economy using its own resources, if it can resist foreign manipulation, then perhaps this new chapter won't be one of war, but of growth and stability. Of course, that's a big if. So now, I leave the question to you. Do you think Trump made the right move? Is this strategy better than America's past mistakes in Africa? Or is this just another power struggle that will end in more chaos? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more in-depth geopolitical analysis.